We're going to get started for our first meeting of the new year, 2023. United We Stand America. We are back, and we're solid. This is exciting. I'm excited. We have a great program today for you. But the key piece to what United We Stand America is about, it's about helping inspire whatever your gift is and your talent and your inspiration to bring a little more heaven to America, or a little heaven to earth here in Mount Shasta. What is your piece of the puzzle? Because we can't seem to keep waiting for the bigger guys that we watch on TV to resolve our local challenges and our challenges day to day, and also bring us the abundance that is naturally really ours and is a part of the foundation of this nation, the pursuit of happiness. So instead of waiting for someone else to hand it to us from the big newspaper telling us you can be happy now, we're not going to need to read that story, because we're here and we're choosing to be. And it's a very exciting movement, because everyone so far that said, yeah, I'd be happy to contribute, is feeling inspiring and inspired to do so. So I feel like you being here, you're opening a door, as I am, to find more inspiration for whatever's necessary and required for United We Stand America. And that's really what the foundation of this country is all about: United States and United We Stand. And here we are in grateful America. So Jewel just brought this sign up. It says, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands." And we do have beautiful skies today, actually. It was raining earlier. We needed water in California desperately. It was being talked. It was in the signs. You drive down on the streets of California and say, there is a drought, conserve water. We're always thinking, oh my God, how are we going to move in the future? Well, we're receiving the water. The heavens have opened up. When the requirement is there, the higher power has our back 110% of the time. So there's never a time that higher power isn't both having our back and also in our heart. And that's what this is about. So thanks for being here and following your higher inspiration that brought you into this room today, and watching on video, to watch this video from your heart and to feel the power and the freedom of being an American, or being one that loves we the people, one nation under God. Valerie? Well, I'll put you on the mic so we can have it on the video too.
As I was on my way to this meeting, there was the most beautiful rainbow in the sky. And I went, thank you, God. Thank you for this beautiful sign, for this wonderful day, for this beautiful meeting. So,
excellent. Thank you for the rainbow, too, showing us the way. Well, we're going to get started today with a prayer to bring the higher power in. So we have a new tradition of it being sung, but that tradition we're breaking a little today. We're going to say it and mean it that way as well. So we can bring it up. This is our website, which I will announce to start with. You're all getting invites to our social network on Wednesday, so if you'd like to check that out and start to join and see how that can contribute to your life in a better way, then you're welcome to do that. We're going to give you an invite on Wednesday. So here's the beginnings of our website, and this is the Lord's Prayer. So let's give the Lord's Prayer and tune in with our own higher power and God in heaven together. Oh, yeah, let's all stand up. And Joel, could you maybe lead us in the Lord's Prayer? We'd like to do that. My wife, Jewel.
All right, can you all see the words? Okay. Together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Let us go into thy kingdom. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, Lord. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Let us not fall, Lord, into temptation, but deliver us and defend us, Lord, from all evil. Amen. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
Thank you. Yeah, so we can all have a seat. We're going to give the lighting of the candle. So we like to do it's a way to bring in good energy. You know, the flame has always been a part of the United States of America's inspiration. I've been researching all the old architecture, the paintings, the Statue of Liberty holding that flame, So fire is actually very important, the flame of freedom. So we're going to bring in the flame of freedom today and the love of freedom and liberty with the freedom. So, Joel, you want to lead that?
Yeah, and with all the nature responding to, I feel, our emotional body right now. The water correlates to the emotional body. So I thought this was perfect. The geese, proclaiming the victory, the V sign of the leadership. And they take turns at leadership, actually. If they're at the back, they really encourage the leader to keep going. And then when that goose gets tired, they drop back and they work together. And I just feel like this just caught my eye, making the coffee. The heavens declare the glory of God. If we look up, right? Nature. They can't AI nature, no matter what they do. They can't create what God has created. Yeah, and the skies proclaim the work of his hands. I thought that was really relevant today. Remember who we work for, right? Together with our sacred breath, with the freedom, declaring the great works that we can see around us today that are way beyond anything that they can plan, no matter how many millions of years they give them. Can't do better than God, right? Together. Freedom. Thank you for the sacred breath today, God. Thank you for this day and embodiment. Never know how long we have in the physical body. Thank you to all our sisters and brothers on the other side. Thank you to all the freedom fighters who have moved over to fight for us over there. And for all those that need our love and our prayers today that were shocked into being removed from their body, even though it probably is God's plan, let's send some love and light to all those people who have been sacrificed in this incredible invisible war that most people don't even realize they're in. Amen.
Thank you, Jewel. Yeah, so we like to start off with the national anthem and bringing the freedom in, just remembering that song's really about how the flag, through it all, America still stands, the beauty and the glory and the freedom, the justice and the pursuit of happiness. It stands through it all, the smoke and the mirrors as they clear, the golden lining reappears. So Jen Rogar, thanks for coming up and singing this. You're a wonderful singer, and she sang at many of our events, so this is a wonderful contribution. We appreciate it.
Okay, sing along with me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's poignant that our own amazing singer-songwriter, who's now studying for the bar, should have sung that for us today. And for all the Hollywood famous people that have sung and opened up games, there is a lot of talent hiding out in local places, don't you think? Their day. Bye. Thank you for the local talent that's in this room. It's about time their voices were heard, right?
Indeed. And Jen Rogar on Spotify, right? Yeah, Jen Rogar on Spotify. And there's excellent songs, and they're worth listening to. And there's some great ones about Mount Shasta, which is a very special place. And we welcome our visitors to Mount Shasta when you're ready to come down and be a part of one of these meetings from wherever you are in America or the world, to be here for freedom. Thank you. All right, well, we start out our meetings with just a little good news. So if you have something and you want to share some good news, could be about your own life even, just some positive news. So I just want to say, it's kind of positive news to me that I heard these rumors, and even certain politicians say things like dark winter. And you know what? We had a wonderful Christmas. We really did. We had a wonderful New Year's, very peaceful and white. So I'm very grateful to have been in Mount Shasta over Christmas and New Year's. Really enjoyed the wonderful company, the wonderful community, and seeing that Christmas in America was a wonderful experience for anybody who really celebrated in a good way. So I'm grateful to have had a wonderful Christmas with family and friends. Would anybody else like to offer any good news for today? Anybody? Okay. Do you want to come up and do it? Might be kind of nice if you can. Oh, you can just take it.
Okay. Right, I just glanced at it, but it came up on the Epoch Times phone app that this New York Supreme Court just struck down the vaccine mandate for government workers. Okay. Yeah, so any other states, including California, that's a powerful precedent. I mean, this is not like Arkansas struck it down. This is New York Supreme Court. Yo.
Yeah, very good news indeed. Some sanity from the New York Supreme Court. I think I saw another hand up. Jen? Okay, I'll pass the mic over just so we get it on the recording.
I'm just happy Kevin McCarthy is our Speaker of the House. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't want the other guy. So, he's going to investigate Fauci. He's going to work on the border, and we have some balance now, and hopefully bipartisanship. I don't think you guys wanted the other person who is a slam poet. He talks like a slam. I mean, I'm sure he's cool. So I don't feel like y'all love Kevin, but at least we don't have the slam poet. There's hope. Okay.
Well, hope is always good, and what we get to see with politicians, if we observe them, is we get to see if they live up to their promises. Let's keep them up to that instead of just letting them get away with it another month or two, because they're either going to live up to their promises or they're clearly not. Let's be observant. Thank you.
So yeah, some local good news. I hope everyone here is abreast of the Klamath River dam removal project. And there are 2 lawsuits that have been filed to stop the removal of the dams. And I know that LaMalfa, and there's another congressman in Southern Oregon who vowed to bring it before this Republican House to put the brakes on it. So I think that's fantastic news.
That's important. That Klamath Dam removal is definitely a disaster waiting to happen. It doesn't take a genius to see that. So that needs to be stopped before it starts, for sure. Thank you. That's great news. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Anybody else? Good news, good news. Well, let's just keep good news in our heart because we're meeting every 2 weeks, so that's some really good news. United We Stand America is committed to meeting every 2 weeks to start this year out. And one of those meetings is going to be a circle, and then the next meeting is going to be more like this kind of format. So we'd hope to see you as you're inspired to contribute and be a part of those great meetings that are coming up. And that's some really good news indeed. Let's move into our constitutional study for the day. We, the people, believe that the Constitution doesn't need to be just interrogated and investigated by lawyers for legalese, but it's actually a document that we need to start to understand our part of it and how it applies to us. So the shield here is the symbol for United We Stand America. And the shield also, on the back of the shield, doesn't have it here yet, but is the Bill of Rights in the Constitution, okay? Because that is a shield. So knowing your Bill of Rights and knowing your constitutional rights and the constitutional rights of Americans is a shield for America. And these are rights under God, not under government. The government's there to respect these rights and protect these rights. That's the purpose of it. But the rights come from God. That's what the Constitution and Declaration of Independence says. So thank you for getting to know a little bit by bit. Shield, strap, we have an acronym. It's the freedom of speech, freedom of the press, the freedom of religion, the freedom of assembly, and the freedom to petition your government. Thank you. So that's, you strap on your shield. That's important. That's the basics right there. Here we are assembled. Mark Muscardin, who is got a lot of great stuff to offer us in terms of the sound money issues that we're all going to be dealing with and always have been dealing with. And so, Mark, would you like to come up and offer our constitutional study for today?
Okay, hey everybody, my name is Mark. Live here in Mount Shasta. I'm a developer for DeFi, decentralized finance. So I work a little bit in the digital realms, but I also realize the responsibility that we have in this country to reinstitute what we call sound money. And the founding generation in the United States actually created a sort of treasure map for us that they laid out for us that we are not following, and I'm going to explain my position here with regards to that. But what happens every sort of 40 or 50 years, there's this pattern where there's a sort of reset with regards to our currency. So in the 1930s, FDR seized the gold of the American people, which was a little bit shocking for me when I first learned that, because I had always thought FDR was a hero. You know, he won World War II and the New Deal, so forth and so on. Well, that happened in the 30s. Then in 1971, Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard and gave us what we have today, which is fiat currency. And fiat currency is currency that is not backed by a precious metal, a tangible asset like silver or gold. It's actually backed by our debt. And there is a private banking cartel called the Federal Reserve System, which has been legally given the right to create fiat currency out of thin air, and then we have to pay back the principal plus the interest. 50% of your taxes that you pay for your income, federal income tax, actually goes to pay back the interest that we owe other countries and the Federal Reserve. So there's a lot of rabbit holes we have to go down here to figure out what's going on. But the next sort of little currency, big currency reset that the powers that be want to direct us towards is something called a CBDC. Has anybody here heard of what a CBDC is? Right. It's a central bank digital credit. Not a central bank digital currency. It's a central bank digital credit. And everybody here has to be very aware of something. A one world centrally controlled digital currency is very dangerous technology that every single one of us has to be aware of. And if we don't reinstitute sound money in our nation, we run the risk of being sucked into this one world government, technocracy, biosecurity state, which has a lot of scary ramifications. So we have to be careful. Now, you guys are all experiencing inflation right now, right? Inflation is a hidden tax. They created out of thin air, I think it's about $6 trillion during COVID. So every single time you go to buy groceries, you're paying for COVID. You're paying for the war that they have in Europe now. You're paying for the lockdowns. You're paying for the furloughs, the closed businesses, all those payments that were made. We're paying for it. That's what inflation is. It's a hidden tax. And that's because we have a private banking system that has this right to create our currency out of thin air, and then we have to pay back the principal plus the interest. Now, one of the things that I am learning as I learn about the Constitution, because I've been ignorant about it, are the specific clauses in the United States Constitution that talk about sound money. And I want to make sure that we here understand it, because I think we're going to have to repeat this until we firmly entrench it in our memory. Now, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5 says that the Congress shall have power to coin money, regulate the value thereof in foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures. Okay, so that's the first thing that we have to remember. It's Congress that has the power, as stipulated in the Constitution, to coin money. Now, some people argue that the federal, they've delegated that job to this private banking cartel we call the Federal Reserve, but they're owned by foreign shareholders. So we have to keep that in mind. Now, Clause 6 of Article 1, Section 8 says that the Congress shall have the power to provide for the punishment of counterfeiting the securities and current coin of the United States. That's another clause that's related to our money. And finally, Article 1, Section 10 says that no state shall emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. So let's say that again. No state shall emit bills of credit. The founding generation, when they were referring to bills of credit, we're talking about paper money, what you have in your wallet right now. Now, the Federal Reserve note that you have in your wallet used to be redeemable for gold. It was a receipt. But then they took us off the gold standard, and now it's fiat currency, which is currency that's not backed by anything. The only reason it has value is because you know somebody else is going to accept it for goods and services. So our fiat currency is forbidden by the United States Constitution, okay? And that's something that we can't forget. Now, the other thing that it states is that no state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. Now, this is interesting. So we're entering the digital realms here. We have cryptocurrencies, and we have these new forms of digital, decentralized digital money that's being created. But as somebody who works in tech, I think it's very important for us to remember that we can't ever rely on the internet. That's the first thing. It can come down. There can be a cybersecurity attack. The grid can go down. So when it comes for our in-person local transactions, we got to stick with cash. We can't ever get rid of that. But our currency is, even though this is cash, the dollars that you have in your wallet, it's not money, because there's a difference between a fiat currency and money. They're the same thing, but the difference that money is a store of value over time. That's why for local in-person transactions, I am of the mind that we should be really conservative with our currency that we use in person, and go back to silver and gold. Now, for the internet's a luxury. A lot of us like to conduct transactions online. Maybe you want to buy a digital product, or maybe you want to send money to somebody in another country. Well, for that, we have decentralized cryptocurrencies. And that's something we'll have at our disposal. We don't ever have to use a CBDC, a central bank digital credit. Again, a one-world centrally controlled digital credit is very dangerous technology. So you're going to have to exercise the power of your voice to at least start talking about that, and start doing your research and communicating this with your family and your friends, so we don't fall down this trap. Because if we do, we're going to get sucked into a really bad place. Now, at least with our fiat currency, which is currency backed by nothing, at least we're not getting tracked when we, transact with each other. They want to change that. They want to push us towards a CBDC that they can program themselves. And they could do a lot of bad things with that. They could turn it off during a lockdown. Maybe they could prevent you, they could geofence, they could prevent you from using your currency outside of a 3-mile radius of your home. The sky's at the limit with regards to what they can do. So we know we can't go down the CBDC route, but we have another challenge before us, and that's how do we get rid of fiat, and how do we go back to sound money? The way that we go back to sound money is really simple. It's really just getting Congress to rescind the 1913 Federal Reserve Act. And all they would have to do would be to write one sentence in a new bill that they would pass. And that one sentence would state, the Federal Reserve System and all of its amendments are hereby rescinded. That's what it takes to repeal the Federal Reserve Act. But we got to be a little bit smarter than just passing a law like that when we get it passed. Because if they were to just sign that overnight, we could have chaos in our monetary policy. And then what would happen is the IMF or the World Bank could come in and try to fill that void, and then we're back to square one. So there's a number of preparatory steps that we have to take in order to unyoke ourselves from the Federal Reserve System and fiat currency. And if anybody has read The Creature from Jekyll Island, it's written by G. Edward Griffin. He's a really great guy. He really did a lot of work for us in trying to spell out the steps that we need to take in order to unyoke ourselves from the Federal Reserve. So if anybody wants to read this with me, reach out to me, because I think this is really worth our time in terms of study. But there needs to be a number of steps before we can just abolish the Fed. But again, abolishing the Fed just requires that one sentence which states that the Federal Reserve System and all of its amendments are hereby rescinded. So that's what I'm doing here. I really feel strongly that we got to get a handle on the money, because if we don't, then I don't know how we're going to be able to keep our Bill of Rights and our Constitution. So we're going to keep on educating ourselves with regards to the concept of sound money. And I just want to end by saying one little spiritual thing. I feel that every single one of us has really got to learn how to have self-respect, okay? You got to learn to love yourself, and it's not ego if you love yourself. And we really have to just become a nation again where each one of us has self-respect. And that's the path forward, and I hope that you just send that energy outwards and learn to love yourself so we can restore economic prosperity to our nation. So thank you so much for listening to me today. Thank you.
Wonderful. Powerful, well-spoken, important information, something we can't just let go of. We're going to have to keep looking at this. I like that one line. I'm looking forward to that day. I was just thinking we might clink glasses that day and celebrate a little bit when that line gets written in the appropriate way and manner. And I also like, Mark, how you finished with it. We're talking about sound money in the Constitution, and you finish with loving yourself. What's more sound than that? And I really appreciate that. How can we love our neighbor as ourselves if we don't really love ourselves? So that's so important, to take care of ourselves. And here, let's take care of each other as well. Robert? Let's bring the mic over there.
I wanted to ask Mark what your opinion is when the BRICS nations go on a gold standard that's about half the world, and is that going to drag the United States along? Is that going to set the pace? I mean, to me, it sounds like a positive thing.
Well, I think that
Mark, we'll give you the mic, for everybody here.
So, he's talking about BRICS. It's a coalition of countries that want to get off the dollar, which is currently the world reserve currency. If that were to happen, then a lot of the dollars would flood back here to the United States and could cause hyperinflation, I think, which is a huge problem. I know, if you recall, in Germany, before World War II, before Hitler came into power, The middle class got wiped out in one fell swoop due to hyperinflation. Thousands of dollars to just buy a loaf of bread. So BRICS, I mean, that's going to mean that all those dollars are going to come back. I'm not too educated anymore with regards to that topic, but that's a good point that you made. You got to watch out for that. Absolutely.
Well, let's keep this conversation moving. In fact, what I'd like to introduce just now is two things. One is we have constitutional books here. So if you're interested in one, we're gonna give you one if you don't have a constitutional book, okay? And we just appreciate a little donation for that. These are actually donated by Jen Rogar, so she's donating these to us. So we're gonna give these. They'll be at the back table, and feel free to grab one if you'd like. The other thing is that I'm going to talk more about it later, but Unity pods are called U-pods. So the idea is that these conversations, we hear about them at this event, they can keep coming. And Robert, you clearly have some information and important things to say about this. So we're going to have groups start to break out and meet about what you're most interested in, not just one thing or the other, but what you're most interested in. One option is going to be sound money and the local economy as well. So that might be something some of you are interested in. And we want to see the solutions coming, not from here, from here. And they'll give that information here. So we're receiving the solutions. That's part of what this is about. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have time for one more brief question.
Mark, is that? So my question is, and I'm not sure anyone has the answer, but do we know if our country even has gold in reserve anymore? Do we still? I mean, and if we go back to a gold standard, I mean, there's the chance that as a country we just won't have any.
I was listening to a gentleman, David Strait. Now I don't know how true it is, but right there, they can hear me now. I was listening to this man, and I listened to a couple other people. They were talking about how much gold is in this world. They've got it stored everywhere in the world, tons of it. And they said, he said there's enough gold in this world right now to give a brick to each person, child, and adult in the world, and still have half would still be stored away. That's how much gold is in this world. It's been stored away and stored away for the governments.
We're going to have more time to talk about money in the U-pods and in the future. And gold, well, there's a golden flag down here, golden United States flag. So I believe there is enough gold to go around on this planet, and there's such a thing called a golden age, actually. So some of us believe that America is the birthplace of the real golden age for the whole world. Where does it start? There's a sign in Mount Shasta. You might see it sometimes. It says, Mount Shasta, where heaven meets earth. Why not start right here, right? Where we look in the mirror. Where's the golden age going to begin? Maybe in this room right now. So thanks for that. Let's keep that gold flowing and into the right places, in the right hands. Gold is conscious. It might just start to move in the right direction, actually. There's more to life than it appears sometimes. So wonderful. Let's have a song and tune into our hearts next. We're going to invite up Terry and Cindy, and we have a cool, thanks for stepping up your last meeting, and we found out about these amazing, inspiring songs you have to give.
Howdy. Hi, Sean. So I didn't say my good news because I knew I could say it now. My one good news for me is my wife is playing with me here. Okay, this is a song I wrote maybe about a year ago. Kind of relates to what we're all here about and what's been going on in our world and country for a while. We can talk about freedom. We can talk about liberty. We can talk about freedom. But freedom isn't free. It's up to you and me. Now when God gave us our dominion, it wasn't at the feet of kings. God gave us our freedom, a sacred trust. It's up to you and me. We don't need permission. We don't need no dispensation. There's no one above us. Only a God who loves us. So may the way be opened up before us. The waves they part, we can hear that chorus. There's no more chains to hold us. Our love has set us free. So we can talk about freedom. We can talk about liberty. We can talk about freedom. But freedom isn't free. It's up to you and me.
I'm just so grateful. It's so awesome. I love the local talent and the inspiration, husband and wife team, Terry and Cindy, and that's an important one. Very cool. He sent me some other songs that are awesome as well and also well fitting, but he said, this is the one we want to sing. I said, that sounds cool. So that was awesome. Perfect. I remember when I checked out Washington, D.C. a couple of times, one of the most striking things I've ever seen in Washington, D.C., and I was kind of shocked that it would even be standing because of the sort of media and all the things we see nowadays. They don't really tell us this, but it says it in stone in the side of a building. It's chiseled in stone, so it's not going away. It says, the price of liberty is, anybody know? Eternal vigilance. Eternal vigilance. Says it in the side of a building in Washington, D.C., in stone. I'm sure it wouldn't be there otherwise. It doesn't say it on billboards, but it probably needs to. So banners for freedom, maybe that's a good one. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. Thank you. Okay, well, we're going to have our guest speaker today, Jerry. Thanks, Jerry, for being here. And Jerry is a elder and a digital warrior and very hip and knows what's going on in our world and puts the effort in. And Jerry has a number of 88 years in this body, 88 years young. And as much of a proponent of freedom as we get. So thanks for showing us no matter where we are in our lives, we can get the job done. So Jerry, why don't you come on up, and we're happy to have you share today.
Yeah, Michael emphasizes my age, which I think is kind of funny. In April, which is now coming up, I turn 89. It's just hard. It's just, it's hard to believe. But it kind of goes along with what I want to speak about a little bit today, which is identity. What do we identify with? And so in my case, I never identified with age. I just never identified with it. You hear people say, oh, well, I'm 40 now, I have to act. And I said, well, whoever wrote it down where 40 is supposed to act? I mean, where is, I didn't read that one, so. So what I'd like to talk about today is just for a few minutes is, and there's, it's sort of my lifetime, so I could speak for weeks, and it's been hard to try to narrow it down to 10 minutes, but relative to where we are in the world, and I think everybody in this room is very aware of where we are, and I think that I, like many here, over the past 3 years have really awakened to things we never knew. I never knew that there was this level of corruption, that there was this level of just evil in the world. I mean, I was not aware of that. Everything was just bopping along. And then Spirit sent us the COVID epidemic, and along with the bad, nasty things that have come with that, of which there were many, many, the other thing that came with that was a giant awakening all over the world. And I think one of the things that we have been forced to look at, even though we don't want to look at it, is the level of darkness that we have been ensnared in for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. And that there is a force, an energy, and every culture has a word for that energy. Every culture. We may call it Satan. The Islamics call it the jinn, demonic. And the American Indians have a word that I really like because it's sort of neutral, wetiko. Wetiko. And they sense that there's something in the world that is like not right and not in alignment with the highest. And they sense it, they know it. And we have, I think, become aware of that more and more over these last 3 years. It has come to our awareness. And so I would like to recommend, by the way, I have some papers on that little table at the back that when you leave, if you want to take one. But I think that, to me, the hero, my hero and my teacher has been David Icke. And if you really want to know what's going on in the world, I honestly think you need to read one of his books. It's not enough to say, oh, yeah, I get it here and there. Boy, he has spent 32 years doing nothing but investigating the truth. And the truth shall set you free. And we are now waking up more and more to the truth. So faced with all of this ugliness, I often say to myself, but what can I do? What can we do to make it better or to make it go away? And there are a couple things that I have come up with that we can do. And one of the things is to change our focus. So right now, these last few years, I've been focusing on all this nastiness. The banks, the money is coming down, the global control and so forth. So we're aware of that now. But we have to shift our focus away from that to a higher vision, I think. I think we all have the vision of a better society, of a world that could work for everybody, of a world of justice and honor and goodness and God, a world that is ruled by you wouldn't need government and you wouldn't need laws if everybody lived by the golden rule. So we say, well, that would not be possible. Well, it can be possible. We are going into a realm where that is the world. That's the world that I want to walk into. That's the world that I feel like I live in already. My world is filled with love and light and goodness and beautiful people all around me. So I feel like I've already transitioned into that world in a sense. So I'd like to encourage us all to just shift our focus a little bit and concentrate on the world we want to move into as opposed to this other one that we really want to move out of, really. There's a little quote from this wonderful little book I found called, well, I put it on the back thing there. And this, I think, is a good explanation, kind of. The damage and corruption you see all around you is just the ending choreography of the world's last dance. And the promised reclamation of this planet is but the final manifestation of a campaign that has already been won. So we need to be aware. We need to be on top of it, like Mark said. We need to be focused on what's important, but we also need to be focused on where we're going, which is out of that. The other thing that David Icke has emphasized over and over in his books, and particularly his last book that he just wrote called The Trap, I really recommend it. Any of his 23 books are wonderful, but this one is really, really pertinent. And what he is saying here is that we need to change our identity. So we have been identified with what? I'm a human. I'm a body. I'm a male or a female. I'm a doctor or a teacher. We've identified with these things, these worldly things, and now with the the LGBTQ identity is being narrowed down to your sexual preference. That's who I am. No, that is not who you are. So we want to identify with who we really are. And what is that? What is that? So there you go. So if you would be willing to just close your eyes for a few seconds, just a couple of moments, and just go into silence for just a moment. Kind of just sit here quietly. Be still and know that I am God. Just kind of breathe that in for a moment. Thank you. So my feeling is that that's a direction, and I know that that's a step that may sound a little foreign to some people. I understand that. I've been working on it for 40 years since I first heard the concept. And the Bible tells us a lot about that. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. What do you think that means? Right? The Spirit of God lives within us, and that identity shift is the shift that we really need to make. And that shift changes everything, because when we embody that love the love of God that we put out there. You know, like, where do we think God is? Up in the sky? Out in the universe someplace? I like to think that God is right here within me, living and dwelling within me, and that I am the light of the world. Jesus said it. You are the light of the world. The good thing about that, in addition to everything else that's good about it, is that the Wetiko cannot stand that energy. It's like garlic to a vampire. They cannot stand it. They die from it. They feed off of our fear and our low vibrational emotions. So if we hold that I am the light of God, I am spirit having a human experience, but I am not just that human. We chase them away. And so what we need to do is they need to be gone. That influence, that vibration needs to be gone. I don't feel like we can work with that. We cannot have a world where that influence is still ruling everything. They have to go. And the best and quickest way for them to go is if we stand here and absolutely claim that we are the love. We are the light. That starves them to death. So it's an important step. It's an important step. So I'd just like to read the last couple of sentences from David's book here. I forgot my glasses, so I hope I can see it. Challenge. Woohoo! What is the difference between fifth dimensional consciousness before the fall and 4D mind afterwards? Self-identity. That's it. Self-identity. How did we get into this mess? Self-identity. How do we get out of it? Self-identity. We stop identifying with body, mind, or even soul, and we identify with being the spirit of the all that is, the true and infinite I. Do that, and we will connect with it, and everything changes.
Thank you, Jerry. I just wanted to follow Jerry as Linda comes up ready to sing us a soulful song. That I don't think Jerry's alone in receiving the memo that it's time to maybe pull out of being the digital warrior of the bad news. I certainly believed it myself and received it in a work during the Christmas holidays, that it was on my hands and knees in the freezing cold as I was facing this energy. That it is time to let it stop having dominion over us. We are, everyone in this room, if you close your eyes and realize truly who you are, whoever you are following spiritually, that the power is within us, and it's time to direct that power towards the light and away from the clickbait. And we think that these patriot news sites are keeping us updated. If you can do it from an observer point of view, good for you. Keeping abreast so we can pray about things, but if it pulls you down into a low vibration where you start snapping at your loved ones, or you feel despair, or you feel like you're losing your faith, then turn it off. Just turn it off, turn it off, turn it all off. Disney, all that stuff, sending airwaves, mind control, adverts. We're well aware of it, and yet some of us are still playing around with it, myself included. And is it uplifting me? Is it bringing me to that message that came from Jesus? This and greater works you shall do. The kingdom of heaven is within. And he sends, if you're watching The Chosen, his apostles to do the work while he's still here in embodiment, so that they will be able to carry it after he's gone, which they don't realize is coming. So if we want to fulfill his mission 2,000 years ago, we need to be that light. And we can't do it, like Jerry said, playing around with half measures. As they say in 12-step, half measures avail us nothing. So breathe in and close your eyes. Remember who you are every day. Powerful being, wedded to the light. And in the face of that light, as the Bible and many other books have told us, it's already done, it's accomplished. We need to carry it through. And breathe out all that old stuff that I feel is melting. It's taking care of itself. And just as the little birds are taken care of, why do we worry about our needs when even the birds and the bees are taken care of? Everything will be taken care of in God's garden, the little flowers. Welcome, Linda, to bring us a song. And just be in that meditation place where we fill up after the battle that we've been through for the last few years. Let yourself rest.
If I could do a song, and I went to prayer. I said, Lord, what song would you have me to do? And the next day, this song came to my mind. I hadn't heard it for a long time, but it's based on the verse in 2 Chronicles, chapter 7 and verse 14. Actually, I'm going to start with the verse before it. It says, when I shut up the heaven, and there is no rain, or command the locust to devour the land, and send pestilence among my people, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will heal their land. Now, I know we haven't had a lack of rain, but we've had a lot of evil in our world. And I know that it's tried to wear down the saints. It's tried to wear us out and to make us give up hope. But the word says if we will pray and seek his face and turn from our wicked ways. So that's what this song's talking about. I know there's a prophet named Bobby Connor, and he gets a word from the Lord every year on Yom Kippur, which is October the 4th. And this year the Lord told him, the gavel of God. I think the gavel has come down, and it's found on our behalf. And no more will there be evil spoken of as good, and good spoken of as evil. And that's what we're believing for. So, Michael, do you have that Hear My Cry? The words for that. We got the words up for you. Hopefully you can follow along. You weren't able to get them. Aw. Okay. Well, I think you can pick it up. It's not that difficult. So, Hear My Cry. Over me.
so much, Linda. That was really beautiful. It's really nice to hear the piano being played, and I just feel like this is a really heartfelt gathering today. We're all a little bit post-holiday wrecked, a little bit. So, you know, when things break down and we're not pushing as hard, we're more in receiving, right? Even for me, I did this 75 hard thing that pushed me so hard that my back got injured and I couldn't push anymore. And so I was now got some help, but I was forced into that more surrender phase of the push. I know we all really pushed last year, and there will be more of that. I think it's important right now to be a little low key, you know, just replenish, you know, receive, and that beautiful. I felt like that was so perfect for the weather, right? Back to Michael.
Okay, well, excellent. I will introduce 2 more U-Pods. We're going to have a few U-Pods available to their Unity Pods. These are opportunities for you to receive and co-create a better future right now, just by tuning in with your heart and feeling if something is calling to you. First one is Sound Money. The second one we'll introduce actually is something that I'm passionate about, and that is Prayers for America. So the U-Pod that I'm going to help lead, and it's kind of a roundtable atmosphere in these Unity Pods. If you're interested in joining or learning about how to pray, how we can pray for America, and you can share in your opportunity to do that. But I would love to get Prayers for America going, not only locally, but nationally and possibly internationally. And, you know, we have the internet and such things. So just to keep a vigil going, because I believe that what you were talking about, everyone's talked about, is very legitimate and very real, a river of love. It already exists. It already exists in the higher realm, in the heaven realm. So how do we get that river of love to flow through us? Well, it's got to come from somewhere. And it's probably not going to come from my ego, but it might come from my higher power. So by calling in that love, I believe we can bring a lot of solutions in. And I don't want to be the doer here. Allow the higher power to be the doer. Pray, make the call. That's one I'm going to contribute, is Prayers for America. A third one, an exciting one, is how do we change things locally? Local politics, where's the power structure locally? How do we get involved? So Jen Rogar, who spoke at our last meeting, is going to be running for office after she successfully attains her law degree to help with the defense of freedom as well. Jen? Oh, it's passing the bar. Jen has a law degree. Okay. When you pass the bar. So Jen Rogar is going to be leading it's a roundtable atmosphere. It's not a huge responsibility to get involved here, but it's an opportunity. So Jen Rogar is going to be leading, inspiring you to find your part or other people locally to run under the banner of freedom, the banner of America. And so thank you, Jen. So those are 3 opportunities, Unity Pods. And we're going to have several more, including pure food, local food, that kind of thing. So let's bring up our final speaker for today, Paul Chapman, right, Chapman? Yes, Paul Chapman, who ran for school board recently and did well on his votes. It did not officially win. We don't know how those votes are counted, do we, in the Diebold machines or whatever they are. But Paul ran a good campaign and clearly got a lot of support and spoke at one of our meetings prior to that. So we want to hear from Paul, what is it like to run in local politics? How was his experience? What did he learn from it? So welcome. Thank you for coming and sharing that with us today, Paul.
Thank you, Michael. When Michael asked me to speak, I was going, why would you want somebody that lost to speak? You know, most people want people that won to speak. And he explained, and after he listened to him a while, I go, you know, it makes sense. So I said, yes, I would. So what does it feel like to lose? Well, you're disappointed. That's definitely for sure. I don't have any regrets, you know. It is a hit, even though as much as you try not to, it is a hit to your ego. Ego's not always necessarily a good thing, so maybe a little hit to my ego isn't a bad thing, but it does hurt. So it takes a while to get over it. I think maybe I'm getting better at getting over it. And then you wonder why did we lose? Or why did I lose? And the tough thing is, you never really quite know for sure. You know, especially in the way this was run, where we kind of went out and told people what we stood for, what our vision was for the school, and the other side was quiet. At least on the front. We soon found out we were getting bashed left and right, mud slung at us, accusations made. You guys probably heard them more than I did. I had people come up to me and go, you know, I heard that at football games, you yell out the N-word at the other team. No, never's happened. Luckily, I had a few people that, you know, when the guy who was telling me this, that one of his customers said that he asked the guy, well, did you hear him say that? And the person started backing down. No. You know, who'd you hear it from? And then pretty soon it was, you know, no facts at all. So in particular, there was two individuals, a husband and wife team, pretty prominent in the community, that were really gunning for us, sent out several emails clandestine-wise. You may know them. I have no problem saying their names, Dr. and Mrs. Harch. And, you know, how do you counteract that? This is the first time we ever ran for any election seat. You know, we've been always, you know, I didn't want to run a dirty election. I wanted to stay above the fray. You know, you always hear that, you know, if you wrestle with pigs, you know, the pig loves it and you get dirty. So, you know, decided not to do that. Decided to take the high ground. But I'm not sure if that's what did it, you know. Like I said, you're never sure why you particularly lost. Was it just because people didn't like your message? That's okay. That's probably the most, the reason that's the easiest to at least not feel bad about. But you never know. But that being said, it was a heck of a learning experience. And I want to leave time for questions, so I want to be kind of short. And not all learning experiences are joyful. I can't say this was all bad. Met some real good people. That was great. I think I became a little better speaker. That's always good. I realized that I'm very passionate about education for our kids. That's good also. So, but I really want to encourage for people to run for office. As much as your name's going to be put in the mud, your family might get thrown in the mud, do it. You know, I'm glad I did. You know, I think everyone should do it because I learned a lot about it. I learned a lot about our system. I think it's not a perfect system. I think it maybe can be an ugly system, but I still think it's one of the best systems around. You know, a system that, you know, for 200 years plus, we've changed elected officials, and except for the Civil War, it hasn't been violent. That's a lot to say. That's a good thing. So with that, I just wanted to leave. First, Jen, I wanted to thank you for running. That's a big step. No, don't. Please don't. I would tell people, be wary of Nextdoor. I'm not a social media person, but I guess we got ripped pretty good in Nextdoor. But let me see. There's a famous phrase, and I probably can't remember it offhand. So, but it says, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And good men doesn't mean you have to be perfect. Doesn't have to mean you're a man. When it says men, it means mankind. And don't think, hey, I can't do it, because you can. And it's worth trying. And even if you lose, there's a lot of valuable things. There's even a lot of good that comes from it. So with that, I'll take questions if I have time.
Anybody would like to ask questions?
Yeah, so my name's Greg, and I've never heard of you. I didn't know you ran, and I'm just curious because I think we've all experienced the phenomena that you have to maybe a lesser degree in our life, but you pushed some buttons in some people. And what do you think it was with your campaign that triggered them?
Okay. A local official came up and told me that we scared them. We scared the status quo in the educational system. And so for that, they were gunning for us, and not only us, they wanted to gun for us so hard that they wanted to make it so others would not run. Others that they did not want to run. You know, they wanted to pick the chosen few to run. It's real interesting. You start thinking, well, is there a elite out there that, you know, only them? And there may be, you know. So, yeah, I mean, shoot, we were called homophobic, misogynist, racist, and some of those things are hilarious. And I'm not stripping here, so, but I intentionally wore this shirt because my daughter gave me this shirt. She thinks she's funny. And I don't know if you can see it. My daughter flies this thing for the Air Force. So she's about, their pilots, only about 10% are female. So for me to be sexist, how the heck did I get a daughter that became a pilot? Very proud of her too, you know. So like I said, she thinks she's funny, giving me this. So, but that's why I wanted to show you that, you know, and calling the racist, you know, I may not look it, but I'm actually a quarter Mexican. And within that, I've got about 10% Native American in me. Mixed blood, you know. Okay, I guess you can still be racist, but I don't think so. Do I agree with everything that every group thinks? No, I don't. But I don't hate them. So if you run and you're running against status quo, I guess, or an entity, be ready to get things flung at you, and I wish I could tell you how to counter that, because obviously we didn't do a good job of countering it.
Sound like an American to me. Thanks, Paul.
Do you think the teachers union might have had something to financing them? And
my wife's a teacher. She's right back there. So I don't know 100%, but the perception is they did take a vote, and initially they tried to do it on school emails, and I told the administration, you can't do that. You can't do political things on using school emails. So yes, the majority of teachers were convinced that we weren't good for them, which I would say, to be honest, probably they were wrong in being told that. They were told a lot of things based on fear. And to be honest, you know, I think a good teacher is underpaid. So, I mean, in a lot of sense, I think they would have been happier if maybe we would have been elected. I think there's certain, especially professions within the teaching, that definitely need to get higher wages because they're having troubles getting people. Math, computer science, chemistry, physics, you know, the trades, all those people, the teachers can get more money who know how to do those things. They can get more money doing other things than being a teacher.
Okay. Kathleen.
Thanks, Paul. I'm on your email list, and I really appreciate the work you've done, going to all those board meetings and telling the public or whoever listened to you what was really going on. I think you scared them big time. You were against the superintendent. You told the truth about what was going on. So I just want to say thank you very much for standing up and putting yourself on the line. And I think the more that people like you do that, as you're encouraging people to do, the more that things will change. So thank you so much.
I do want to just quickly say the new superintendent so far is a lot better. He's a lot more open, a lot more transparent. And, bad things happen when things are done in the dark. And they were doing a lot of things in the dark. I mean, if you went back, you could, and used to be, I haven't checked, but it's last I know, you could go back and look at the meeting notes, board meeting notes before June or before July. Very little. It was the agenda and just how the vote went. Not even telling you who voted how. So, I mean, it's all trying to keep us in the dark. So they've gotten a lot better on the notes. Like I said, the superintendent is better. The new principal at the Mount Shasta High School, as much as I was not for her initially, she has done some amazing things. So until she does contrary, I'm going to support her. There's some good, too, that has come about. So thank you. Thank you for letting me talk. Like I said, it's no fun to lose, but I would encourage anyone to run. And like I said, I really do think every U.S. citizen at one point should run for something, just because you learn what you learn from it.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Kevin and Scott, and thank you for everybody for doing your part. And maybe the part doesn't end when one election cycle is over. Maybe it's just beginning. And the responsibilities, well, I think they say, another will go a little biblical again. I think it says something along the lines of, if you can master these small things, then the higher power will make you master over the bigger things. And so here we are, learning to master in community, too. How can we contribute in community? How can we work in community? That's been part of the big challenge in America, is how to really get along with our neighbor and make change happen and not wait for the big things to tell us what to do, but actually follow the big thing in our heart here today. So once again, thank you. There is the Unity Pod for local politics, local change in the governance. And Paul, maybe you'll be inspired to be at some of those meetings as well, or some of that circle, and help inspire. You have a lot of knowledge, a lot of gained access to that. Guess how much it pays to be running on the school board and going to school board meetings, whether you're on the board or not? $0. Doesn't pay any cash. So Paul put his name on the line and got slandered for it, in very untruthful ways, clearly. And yet there's no pay. Okay, so to Kevin and Scott, so that's what we call vigilance. And eternal is a long time, my friends, and yet at the same time, it's always now. It's now. It's comfortable to be in our bodies right now, comfortable to be true to our hearts right now. So we're going to have a small collection. This place does cost a little bit. Hey, we want to thank the gathering, and they have a wonderful Sunday opportunity. Jill and I go to it. It's Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. to noon, and Pastor Mike in the back there, Pastor Corey, and Pastor Kristen. So any contributions are appreciated, just so we can make sure we can do our part with the gathering. And we are going to have a last announcement of our fourth. We have 4 Unity Pods being announced today. We are going to actually be meeting in the breakout groups, not even this time around, but maybe you'll start to be inspired as to which one is calling to you. But in order to create the real America, we the people, the Golden Age America, we all need to find our part. So another part of that is, Joel, you want to introduce? Joel's going to head up this one. And again, it's more of a circular leadership. So.
Yeah, I'm not heading it up. I'm just in that business. So health and wellness, right? We need strong bodies. You cannot pray or meditate or stand up here and sing worship songs if you don't have your health. If your body's hurting, if we need to change our diet, if we need to change what we're doing psychologically, psychological soul healing, There are many modalities. We live in Mount Shasta, come on. There's a lot of healing. But just prayer, prayer circles for the body and calls. I'm a fitness trainer and a yoga teacher, trauma release facilitator, also a life coach and spiritual coach. And I believe that they all come together. Everything's mind-body connected. So there's a lot of skills I'm sure that we have. If you're inspired to look, no matter how many years your body's been on the earth, we have to look at the changing frequencies that are coming into. There's a different consciousness coming in to the world. And maybe we suddenly get an inner memo to change our diet or change what we're doing or walk every day or work out and make sure these muscles don't just fall apart. So we know that food is part of it. We know that nutrition is part of it. Supplements, we've learned a lot in the last few years what can help our natural immunity, right, if they keep churning out these different viruses. So it's a holistic approach, and so I'm available for that. And thanks, Michael.
Okay, yeah, there's going to be, I think it's exciting. We have genius people, really brilliant people in Mount Shasta. And part of either the health and wellness, probably that is going to be know thyself. And that was talked about today. Know thyself, the true health and wealth of the universe. Know thyself. And that's where we're headed into. So I actually am changing my mind. I do want to try this out because we never tried anything yet. I just want to try a very short breakout session just to see how it goes. Now, we're going to have 4 corners of the room. So you just pick the one that speaks to your heart right now. We got 20 more minutes total, okay? So we're going to go through about 5 minutes breakout session. So that corner over there is going to be sound money. I'm just adding right now the divine economy, the abundant economy. So if you have some powerful inspiration, you want to just check that out, Mark is an excellent man to lead this circle. So that's going to happen over there. Jewel, if you want to check out, if you have something to contribute, you might have a powerful inspiration. You might know stuff about health and wellness, whether it's know thyself or physical or food or whatever. Let's go over in the circle here. If your heart grabs you that way. If you are prayers for America, we're going to meet by the American flag. If that's something that's inspiring you today, it doesn't have to be just one for the whole time, but just for today. What's inspiring you the most today? Prayers for America is over there. And then the local politics, we'll get Jen and Paul, kind of that corner over there. Jen's kind of leading that. So we just want to hear what drew you. Today we're just in those 5 minutes, about a minute share each. What drew you to the corner that you were drawn to? Okay? So and you'll introduce your name. So that's what we're going to do. We'll time it. So over here for Prayers America, Health and Wellness, Divine Economy, sound money, local politics. An angel gets its wings every time this bell rings. Okay, so we're going to wrap up, and there's a couple more things to say, and there's a really good song coming our way, and we're going to seal it out, okay, in a good way. It's nice to have a good sealing as well. I am going to ask you to write down your contact information if we don't have it yet as well, because we want to send you the invite to the Cool Social Network that's launching on Wednesday. And it's going to have the U-Pod that you can join. So if you are actually liking the U-Pod you're a part of, you don't have to stay with just one, but you can definitely join it, okay? And then keep this discussion rolling, because the divine economy, it doesn't just, I think Jesus said one more thing I think I'm going to say, which is the kingdom of heaven comes not through observation. So we don't just wait for it to happen. It comes within us, and then we co-create with our higher power. We can't just wait for it. So here we are creating and receiving, and let's all remember, wherever you stepped in that circle today, I honestly expect personally that you might receive some inspiration around that in your heart over the next couple weeks. You might start to receive some information from your higher power of how they want you to contribute, okay, or how we can work together. And that's important information, not to be lost. Let's make sure we offer that to our circle. So I'm going to pass this around, though. If we don't have your info yet, we just want you to write down. Okay, so we're going to wrap up we started a couple minutes behind, so we're okay, actually. So we're going to wrap up with, what is it, Jewel? I think it is an important prayer, how to live, how to be the peace, how to clear the inner temple. We don't just get rid of the money changers in their temple. We get rid of the money changers in our temple, right? That's where it starts, at home. So where is it today? Something maybe we can even tune in on today, a limiting belief system, a limit in our consciousness that we want to let go of right now. Maybe our limit in our, we have all these other things to do. We're very busy. There's all these things to take care of. I don't have time to be a part of this co-creative solution. I have to do my day-to-day stuff for me. Is that happening? I don't know. But is there enough time to be present with divine direction and to make sure we're receiving and giving in a way that brings abundance to our life and all life? I think it might be so. Jewel?
All right. So this is the, we did this morning on our service radio that we do. That's a couple of you join us in. And I thought it was a great one to end today for what we want to put out into the world, the prayer of St. Francis. And we'll do it one time through and then sing it again. Let's. Yeah, Michael, can you help me? Bring this mic a little closer. And I think some of you might know this melody from Sinead O'Connor. Right? Can you hear me? All right. Well, I don't really care about you hearing me. I think we're all going to just sing this together, okay? Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon, Lord. Where there is doubt, pure faith in you. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there's despair, let me bring hope. Where there's darkness, only light. Where there's sadness, ever joy. Oh, Master, grant that we know so seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul. Make me a channel of your peace, for it is in giving that we receive. It's in pardoning that we are pardoned, and in dying we are born to eternal life. Let's do it one more time. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon, Lord. Where there's doubt, pure faith in you. Make me a channel of your peace. Where's despair, let me bring hope. Where there's darkness, only light. When there's sadness, ever joy. Oh, Master, grant I may not so seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul. May we all go out from here and we can sing these prayers and we can sing these worship songs on Sundays in our temples and churches. But is it time for us to really embody this? And I mean that from my heart. It's time for me to really step up and not feel less than, or better than, or unworthy, which are all the lies that have been put upon us by the illusions. And to trust that inner voice, that still small voice that speaks to us in our dreams or during our waking time, that is never violent, it's never loud, it doesn't need to shout, it doesn't need a megaphone. It is that stillness that Jerry said, be still and know that I am that. And I carry that in my peace to all those that will need it and need it now.
All right. Thank you, St. Francis. Let's, can we put the website back up? And we're going to finish off with the couple, let's see what we're going to finish off with. The scroll down a bit. It's a bit more, tell you when. Keep scrolling. We're going to do this American's Creed. So let's move it down to the American's Creed, just a little further down. The American's Creed. It bringing out really the best of the Constitution, or a summary of it anyway, and the Declaration of Independence. We'll get this together, and we're going to give Liberty's mantra, which is cool, and it's part of this movement. So the American's Creed by William Tyler Page. If you'd like to join me in giving that together. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy in a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, and to defend it against all enemies. And here we go into the, sorry about that. I was not watching. To respect its flag and to defend it against all enemies. Liberty's mantra. We'll go down a bit. Together. United we stand in liberty's flame. United we march in God's holy name. United we defend the woman and her seed. United we pledge the American's creed. United we stand against foreign and foe. United we challenge the threatening woe. United we carry the banner of light. United we win in the glorious fight. All right. And here we go, Liberty's flame. We're going to absorb the candle. So thanks, everybody, for bringing your heart flame to the service today. Thank you to the sacred flame here as well, representing the flame of liberty and freedom. Julie, you want to come up here? We're going to absorb that together. So we'll do the freedom one more time. And, well, I think I lit it, so I can absorb. You don't have your? All right. So we'll do the free. I think you were up here when we lit it. That's why I asked you. So let's do it together.
Together, with your power of your breath. Freedom.
I'm grateful to be doing my part by being here today and following my divine direction. I'm grateful you're following your divine direction. I know together the body of Christ, the body of God, below as above, will fulfill its purpose and its victory in the light. And so on the count of, what? Oh, we're meeting every 2 weeks now. So we're meeting actually on a Friday, though. So we go Saturday, then 2 Fridays from now we're meeting. Then the Saturday again. We've booked the gathering. So we'll be back here in this space Friday evening. So 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Is that going to work for you guys? 5:30 to 7:30? Okay, 5:30 to 7:30. Then we're back here a month from now, 4 Saturdays, sorry, 3 to 5 again. Okay, so that's the schedule. For now, we're going to play with it, make sure it works for everybody, but it seems like the right bet, so we're going to go with that for the next month, okay? And the next meeting is a little more focused on the U-Pods. You're going to see that also. So on the count of 3, you go, U.W.S. America. U.W.S. America. United we stand. America. United we stand. America. On the count of 3, we'll say, we're going to do, because I think U-Pods are cool. This is the first time it's been introduced, so we'll go, U-Pods. And we'll raise our hands, okay? So on the count of 3, and you can stand up for this. If you want to stand up, this is our final hurrah of the whole thing. So on the count of 3, we'll go, U-Pods. All right, thanks, everybody. Concealed.